they were talking about bringing in Palestinian refugees from Gaza. That was Jamal Bowman. He's considered to be a somewhat far-left congressman from New York. Well, the Biden administration decided that they're going to take a real long, hard look at making that an official policy, at bringing in refugees from Gaza. Now, if you pull up the map of the Middle East, which we don't have on the show here for you, but you guys can go on Google real quick. It's real easy to find. Just Google Middle East map. If you pull up the map of the Middle East on Google, you'll look at Palestine and you'll see what countries neighbor them. So you've got Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, right? All countries which have been pretty sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, if not outright supporting them. So my question here is, why do we need to be the ones that take these refugees in? Because here's what's going on. There's one country in the Middle East that accepts Palestinian refugees. Do you have any guesses as to what that country is, Mia? One guess, shot at the dartboard. What's the one country in the Middle East that currently accepts refugees from Gaza?
Iran?
Israel. The one that they're demonizing as this horrible genocidal apartheid state. Now, call me crazy, and maybe I need to brush up on my history books. I can't seem to remember Hitler taking in Jewish refugees in Germany. Don't remember that happening. Rwandan genocide, any genocide throughout history, I don't remember the party that was doing the massacring taking in refugees from the people they were actively massacring, unless it was to put them in camps and massacre them. Can't remember that happening. So you've got Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria have all been asked to take in refugees from Gaza, and they have all said absolutely not. So I hope the Biden administration, in fact, Egypt's actually building a wall right now to separate. They've got a wall currently. They've got a wall. They've got a border wall with Palestine, so the Palestinians can't get in. And just recently, a couple years ago, their government said, hey, the wall we got ain't big enough. We need a bigger wall to protect us from the Palestinian people, to keep them out of here. So maybe we should, if the administration's going to look at bringing these refugees in, at the very least, I hope that they could consult with some of their neighbors as to why they're not taking them in. Let me give you a little history lesson on this. We're going to have to go back 57 years. 57 years. Back to 1967, this little thing called the 6-Day War. We had a bunch of countries in the Middle East take on Israel in a war. They decided they were going to go to war with Israel because they all hated the Jews. Well, after the 6-Day War ended, Palestinian refugees resettled to Jordan, a country that is just to the east of Palestine and Israel. Within a year of resettling to Jordan, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Group, Palestinian Liberation Organization, tried to overthrow Jordan's king. Not only did they try to overthrow the king, they formed on Jordanian soil, the PLO formed their own military and actively went to war with the country that accepted them as refugees because they were trying to overthrow their monarchy. Then they went around to all the big cities and they looted and robbed people at gunpoint to, quote unquote, raise money for Palestine to fight back against the oppressive Israel or the oppressive Israeli regime. Not only did they do that, it gets better. They actually hijacked flights headed for Jordan with Jordanian citizens on them, rerouted them to Palestine, and held their citizens captive in the middle of the desert to use them as negotiation tools with the Jordanian government. They went to war for almost a year with the country of Jordan. They said, we've had enough. We're going to war with your army that you formed within our country while we were allowing you to stay here for free, by the way. 10 months they went to war. Jordan kicked their ass in the fight. And the Palestinians decided right before they were going to leave, they said, okay, you know what? We're going to leave. We're out of here. We're out. We're going to Lebanon. But right before they went to Lebanon, they assassinated Jordan's prime minister. So then they went to Lebanon right after in 1970, right? They went up to Lebanon. And as soon as they went to Lebanon, They joined up. What Lebanon, by the way, was a stable country by Middle Eastern standards at this point in time. So was Jordan. They went to Lebanon. And right after they went to Lebanon, you know, they got kicked out. Obviously, they had to resettle from the 6 Day War. And they had to resettle after their spout with the Jordanian government. So like, okay, maybe the third time's the charm. Maybe we'll go to Lebanon. We'll have new beginnings here. And Lebanon will work out. Nope, they immediately sided with these revolutionary groups that were actively trying to overthrow the government of Lebanon, or excuse me, that hated the government of Lebanon, and started a civil war. 4 years later, started a civil war after moving there. The country of Lebanon has never recovered. In fact, they gave us Mia Khalifa. That's proof that they never recovered from taking the Palestinians in. So after that, they wandered around in the desert for quite a while, right? They wandered around in the desert. And then, in the 90s, they resettled in this country called Kuwait. Kuwait, however you want to pronounce it. And when they resettled in Kuwait, there was this guy who was leading Iraq at the time. You might recognize his name. It was a guy named Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein said, you know what? I want to take over Kuwait. And guess who helped him with his invasion? That's right, the Palestinians that were once again living there rent-free as refugees that had been welcomed into the country of Kuwait. So after the U.S. pulled up and liberated Kuwait in the Gulf War, the shock and awe campaign, Kuwait said, fuck no, we ain't doing this. And they kicked over 300,000 Palestinians, that was 18% of their population at the time, out of the country and said, get the fuck out. We don't care where you go, but it ain't going to be here. So maybe history can tell us, history can give us a little bit of an indicator as to whether or not we should welcome these refugees in. Also, this is a country that actively hates us. We have no way to verify and vet who these people are that are coming into this country. And I'll propose this question to you guys. About this refugee situation. Let me put it this way. Say I got a bowl of jelly beans. I don't know who still eats jelly beans, but let's say for argument's sake, I have a bowl of jelly beans. I actually kind of like them. Sitting on a coffee table. And you come to my house, you bring your family over, we're going to have a cookout, right? And your kid you bring your kids over. And your kid walks up to your dad and he's like, Dad, can I have one of those jelly beans? And he's like, I don't know, ask Caleb, it's his house. So you and your kid walk over to me and you're like, hey, is it cool if my son has a jelly bean? And I go, sure. You know, there's 150 of them in there and 2 of them are poisonous. Go ahead. Would you let your kid eat from that jar of jelly beans? Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.